Hello friends, today I'd like to share a bit more information about my bucket hats knitting pattern which I published recently. I want to talk about sizes, yarn ideas, gauge, fit, and a bit about problem solving. First of all, I'd like to mention that there is a full-length video tutorial for my Winterberry bucket hat on my YouTube channel. This tutorial will also help you knit both hats as they share the same style. The only difference between those two hats is the stitch pattern which I used for the body of hat. As you can see, Stitchvision hat is knitted in gather stitch, so it's much easier and faster to knit than Winterberry hat. Winterberry hat has the same style as I mentioned, but it has a combination of stitches around the body of the hat. I've got two hats here. The hat body is knitted with cables and ribbon sections. So the video tutorial for Winterberry bucket hat has all necessary sections to complete Winterberry hat, and it has detailed instruction for the brim and for the crown sections, which are the same for both hats. Now let's talk about sizing and fit. Both patterns are written for sizes from baby to large adult, and they are suitable for both boys and girls, for men and women. The Stitchvision hat in particular looks very pretty and stylish on boys. Both hats can be styled in many different ways, so everyone can find their favorite style, fit and look. When it comes to the fit, I wouldn't recommend too much negative ease, as we often use for knitting other hats like beanie, for example. Instead, I suggest staying closer to true to size fit. The finished measurements for the hat are given in the pattern, so try to match to them as closely as possible. If a bucket hat is knitted with too much negative ease, it can cause the brim to deform and become slightly wavy, especially if you plan to wear it as a Panama hat or a classic bucket hat. I think I can demonstrate this to you. For example, this is my Winterberry bucket hat knitted in size teen adult M. So if I wear it, you can see the brim looks nice, round, without any problems. Because I don't have any negative ease, it's probably just maybe around 1 centimeter, or it's like properly fitted hat. But this hat is smaller and it's knitted in size child, because I knitted this for my smaller daughter. So if I wear this as a bucket hat, you can see the body of hat slightly spread and slightly overstretched, so the brim becomes slightly wavy. You can see the difference. If I try to fold it up, it changes and stays pretty flat. You can see. folding the brim up to wear it as a top hat or a fedora style hat can help correct this. Now let's talk about yarn type and yarn ideas. Both hats are designed to be knitted with a run weight yarn. For my samples, I used dropped Nepal yarn, which is 65% wool and 35% of alpaca fiber. This is budget-friendly yarn. It's lovely for knitting of actually any knitting project and especially cables. I often use it for children projects, and this yarn is often on sales in different online stores. So as I mentioned, I knitted my hats with wool yarn, but these hats can be also knitted with other types of yarn and other types of fibers. It can be knitted with pure wool, it can be knitted with wool acrylic blends, pure acrylic, maybe cotton acrylic blends. However, I wouldn't recommend knitting this hat with cotton yarn. Cotton is much heavier and it's difficult to predict how it will behave in the finished hat. Probably it wouldn't keep the shape of brim properly, and probably it will drop down a bit. Cotton is also not stretchy at all, as you know, and it's make knitting with tighter gauge a bit more difficult, and also it's not very good for knitting cables, which we've got on our Winterberry bucket hat. So I wouldn't recommend knitting with cotton yarn, but cotton acrylic blend would be okay. I also knitted many projects with cotton acrylic yarns, and I can confirm that it's quite soft, it's normally airy, it's normally lightweight, so you can try using cotton acrylic if you don't like knitting with pure acrylic or don't like wearing hats in 100% wool, for example. Another style of yarn what I wouldn't recommend for this project is roving style yarn. These yarns are usually very soft and it can be difficult to knit as well because it splits a lot. Especially it will be difficult to knit the brim because we need to knit it with tighter gauge for a proper shaping. So knitting roving yarn with tight gauge would be quite difficult. But of course you can try if you prefer roving yarn. Maybe you can try to knit this on a sample first. Actually, I always recommend knitting sample first to see if the yarn is suitable for the stitch, for the project, and of course we need to block our swatch to see if yarn and fabric changes after washing. Of course we don't want to lose the shape of our knitting project when we completed it, washed, blocked, and of course we're waiting for the positive result. You can also add a strand of mohair yarn to change the look or maybe even color of the finished fabric. For example, a pink mohair yarn added to the gray yarn would create a beautiful effect of your finished hat. Or I knitted my sample with two matching colors of yarn, mohair and aran yarn, both have the same shade. So you can see I achieved just this beautiful halo and extra cozy look. If you add a strand of mohair yarn to your main yarn, try to keep the gauge the same or as close to the recommended in the pattern as possible. There is no need to change the needle size, as we often do this for other projects which we knit with mohair yarn. So in general, the tighter the knitting, the better the shape of your finished hat and of the brim of hat. Next, I'd like to talk about blocking. In the video tutorial for Winterberry bucket hat, I show exactly how I do blocking for my bucket hats. It's quite an easy process. You just need to roll a towel. I normally use a face towel and place the hat over it. Then you need to lay everything on another towel. I usually change the towels a few times during the drying process, or I place the whole construction next to radiator during the winter time. When blocking your hat, allow the brim to fall on a surface normally without overstretching or overspreading the edge. It's absolutely fine if the brim rolls up slightly up on its own. Don't use pins to pin the fabric to the surface, because it can cause overstretching of the edge and the brim can become slightly wavy after blocking. You can see this clearly in the photos from my test knitter Ariel. She initially blocked her hat using pins and the brim looked a bit wavy. After reblocking the brim and allowing it to dry normally, the shape improved a lot. Now let's talk about troubleshooting of brim. Although I did my best to calculate the pattern so it shapes just right, there can still be differences caused by yarn choice, knitting gauge, personal knitting style, and maybe other factors. These differences can sometimes affect the shaping of the brim and finished look of your hat. I've seen this across many Panama style hats which I designed earlier, where results vary naturally from knitter to knitter. This is also why I experimented with softer yarn with two strands of decay held together and other yarn combinations. I wanted to better predict how the brim would look and behave. It's especially important because we can't see the finished result until we block our hat. Because sometimes knitting project changes significantly after blocking, and if you already completed your hat, if you like it and something goes wrong after blocking, nobody wants to unravel and re-knit it. I was there many times and I know this feeling. So I wanted to develop a simple solution for those cases where the brim turn out too soft, and if it doesn't keep its shape as planned. So there is a handy trick which you can use if it happens with your knitting project. As you know, if you knitted your hat, the brim edge is double layered, which allows us to insert a strand of yarn inside the edge and gently tighten it and lift the very edge a little bit up. In this case, you wouldn't be able to wear your hat as Panama hat, but you will be able to shape this brim to wear this as top hat or as fedora hat. After you insert this yarn inside of the very edge, you can hide this somewhere in the ribbon. I hope this information, together with the video tutorial, would help you feel confident when knitting any bucket hat. I am so excited to see your versions of hats soon, your yarn choices, your styling ideas, or maybe even a full outfits built around these hats. If you still have questions or need any help with techniques used for knitting of those hats, please feel free to ask. You can contact me via email shown in the button or in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next tutorial. And until next time, happy knitting!